Hi guys, what's up? Welcome back to the I Love You So Much YouTube channel. If you guys like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and let's get started with the episode. Alexis, I'm so glad that I have you here today.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
I'm really looking forward to this. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, you would know her makeup is the best thing you've ever seen. And that's because she is the world-renowned Alexis Oakley.
Wow.
We have a celebrity amongst us.
Wow, thank you for that.
She's a makeup artist and is like actually incredible. We're going everywhere today. We're talking about like building a business, clientele, balance, working 24/7. We're going to go everywhere.
Perfect.
But we have to start with your Raya story.
Oh my God, okay.
It is the best thing I've ever heard in my life. If you guys are unfamiliar, Raya is essentially like a celebrity dating app. It's like an industry in quotes dating app.
Yeah, I feel like in the beginning especially it was very celebrity focused, whereas now it's kind of like anyone in the industry can get on. But I wanted to go on so bad, just like everyone in LA, and all my friends were on it and always talking about like all the hot guys they would see, the celebrities and this and that. And so I was like, I have to get on this app. So I applied and I didn't hear back for months, and I was getting so jealous at that point. And I was like, okay, everyone keeps talking about it. This is so embarrassing. Like, I feel like it's just like a rite of passage in LA to be on Raya.
Yeah.
So I decided that I was going to email them, and I literally pitched myself to Raya to get on the app. I'm like, hi, my name's Alexis Oakley. I'm a celebrity makeup artist. Here's the reasons why I think I would be really great fit for your app, and like full on pitched myself to Raya. Got accepted the next day.
That is resilience there. I mean, it literally like a business pitch.
Yeah.
Like, this is why you need me on your app for a dating app. I mean, also that really explains you perfectly.
It's true.
It's so impressive. Also, aren't we like, now that I'm thinking about it, not supposed to be talking about Raya publicly? Like, aren't you supposed to not?
Oh, really?
I don't know if it's Raya, if it's something else. I mean, whatever, too late.
Yeah.
But
it is what it is.
whatever. I feel like Raya really had a moment too. Like 2016, 2017 is when it was like the hottest thing ever. All of my friends were matching with like the
Huge
craziest people.
Yeah, I feel like it's not the same anymore. Like, people kind of use it as more of a networking app and just honestly entertainment. When I'm bored, I'll just see who's on the app, but I never match with anyone. I never talk to anyone. I only know one person that's even been on a date through Raya.
Yeah. I know a few, but it was earlier. It wasn't any.
Right?
I don't think anyone even uses it as a dating app at this point.
No,
that I know.
no,
really at all.
Literally just entertainment and boredom at this point.
Are you on other apps?
Yeah, but it's like I go through phases.
Okay.
I never really go on dates with anyone from dating apps, but it's more so just like a boredom thing for me.
It's like a Sunday 7 p.m. scroll.
Literally.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's see.
Yeah. Do you ever see people you know? Because that's the part that makes me want to die.
Not in LA, really, because also I feel like I don't know a lot of straight guys in LA. I feel like everyone I work
such a good
with
point.
is
Yes,
gay if
same.
it's a guy, you know?
Yeah. Now in Dallas, I'll see people that I know, and I'm like, oh my God, I want to literally die. Like, I don't know what it is. Something about someone seeing you on a dating app is so vulnerable. Like, they should never see you like that.
So true.
No.
And it's so funny because it's like we're all on the apps, but we're all so embarrassed to be on the apps also. I don't get it.
Yes. And I will say, like, LA and New York, I'm so, like, I mean, I don't even date, but like, I'm very pro dating apps. Great thing.
Totally.
Love that. I think they're awesome. I have so many friends who have met their partners through it. I think it's a great thing. But for whatever reason, it is so embarrassing if someone that you know sees you on a dating app. And it shouldn't be in Dallas, because Dallas is obviously smaller. It's a way friendlier city, way more social. Like, LA is more spread out. It's just a totally different vibe.
Yeah.
Dating apps are not as big of a thing. I mean, people are on them, but most people meet just out at bars. People actually meet at bars there.
Yeah, that's how it is back home for me too.
Yeah.
It's like so much easier to date. I feel like LA is one of the hardest cities to date.
I couldn't even think of a city that would be harder to date in.
Right?
It is the worst place to date.
Oh, it's so hard because it's also like dating in LA becomes such a thing because it's like you have to Uber and then you have to meet in the middle, and it's like everything's so far. So it's not like it's just, oh, let's grab a quick drink.
Yeah, the process of it adds like 4 hours onto what a like hour-long date could have been.
It's like planning an entire event.
Yes, it's really too much. And then you're already exhausted and like, are you an introvert or an extrovert?
Honestly, before COVID, I would say I was such an extrovert, and I feel like since COVID, I've become more introverted, but it's like I'm extroverted with my friend group.
Yes.
But not with other people, if that makes sense.
Yes. I have been having this conversation with people all the time because I've realized I am actually an introvert.
Really?
I am one of the most outgoing people you'll ever meet.
Totally.
But I am definitely introverted, and I don't know why I didn't see that, because I need to be home to recharge and read my books and like be by myself. So I don't know why that wasn't more apparent to me, and I've had this like recent realization over the years. But like, I will agree, people who are really close to me that I don't have to like talk to or try around or whatever, they that's different.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like, I recharge as an introvert.
I feel like I'm the same way. I feel like for the longest time I thought that I was such an extrovert, though, because I do love going out and being around people. But I think at the end of the day, I'm like the most extroverted introvert, I always say.
Yes. I completely agree with that. When you get home from like a day of clients, are you drained, or are you like how do you normally feel?
It honestly depends on the day, because it depends on the energy of like the people around me and how the day went. If it was like a really amazing day and everything was super easy and not stressful, then I'm like ready to go meet up with my friends at the bars, whatever. But if it was a really long, exhausting day, or honestly just sitting on set all day, even though those aren't necessarily hard days, it's just boring and long, all I want to do is like get home and go to bed.
Yeah, that makes sense. Also, if you guys are watching on video, my eyes are watering. It looks like I'm high. I'm not. It's been happening all day, and I just really had to push past it.
I feel that. It's so hard. Once it starts watering, too, it's like game over. It does not stop.
And it happens to me all the time, and it's so embarrassing. And it looks like I'm crying all the time, and I'm like, I'm not crying.
I have really one eye, and it's every time I do my makeup and want to look cute, that's the day it waters.
Yeah, of course. Literally, of course. Okay, take us back to young Alexis. Like, OG, when did you start doing makeup, and at what point were you like, I want this to be my career?
Honestly, I've always loved makeup, beauty, fashion, everything since I was like a little girl. I was always playing dress up and doing my mom's makeup and like stealing her makeup and stuff like that. And then whenever I got in like middle school, that's kind of when YouTube like makeup tutorials started popping off. So it was kind of like the beauty guru days where it was like Bethany Moda, Blair Fowler, like those types of girls. And I was just obsessed and would just recreate their looks at home and like just play with makeup constantly. But it wasn't until I was a senior in high school where I realized you could make a full-blown career out of it. Because, like, I grew up in Missouri, so it's like the only time you get your makeup done is if you're going to prom or a wedding. It's not like a daily thing, obviously. And then whenever I was in high school, my mom actually brought it up because it was kind of at the end of my senior year. So it was like, okay, like, what am I going to do? And I didn't really know what I wanted for my life. I knew I hated school, didn't want to go to college. The only reason why I wanted to go to college was for, like, a sorority and going to football games. Yeah. And so that's a waste of money, waste of time. I knew that wasn't the route. And then she was like, well, you know, celebrities get their makeup done every single day. Like, why don't you just try and be a celebrity makeup artist and live in LA? And so she's kind of the one that put the idea in my head. And as soon as she said it, it was like, boom, like, that's what I'm going to do.
That's actually so cool because I feel like kids have to explain to their parents what they want to do so often. And for her to have, like, put that in your mind is cool.
Right? I know. And it was like, as soon as she said it, I was like, yeah, you're right. And just, like, knew that's what I was going to do. And the rest of my high school, I just kind of spent, like, trying to build my book and practicing on anyone who would let me and just, like, fully getting ready.
So then at what point do you move to LA?
I moved to LA right after high school. I was 18.
Me too.
It was, like, a month and a half or 2 months after I graduated and just came out here and went to a makeup school. It was like a 5-month program. And so me and my parents kind of decided, you know, we'll try it for 5 months. If I hate it, I'll move back home. If I love it, I'll try and stay. And obviously I ended up loving it.
And it worked out.
Yeah.
Okay, so out of college, because you have done such a good job of also kind of becoming your own personality. As you graduate that program, did you go and work for someone else? Like, what was your next step after that? And also at what point, because you really have, I don't want to say like monopolized, I don't mean that like a negative way, totally. But you've kind of created, honestly, in the way that I look at like, you know, Robin Girl Boss Town, a different kind of influencer. Right. Because there's also, you know, other makeup artists that have, you know, followings online, but I feel like you're also your own personality. Yeah. Which has been cool to see. So I'm asking 15 questions at once. I'm getting ahead of myself. Starting at the beginning. Yes. When, what did you do after college or the program?
So after the makeup school, I knew the entire time I was in the school that if I wanted to stay, I needed to find a job. So I was working really, really hard the entire time, like honestly just networking and using social media. I feel like that's one of the things that Gen Z is really like good about, and honestly we just have the privilege to use, because I feel like back in the day, like you had to go through a PR agency or email someone or get to kind of like the top of the chain, whereas now you can DM Beyonce.
You have direct access.
Like you just never know who's gonna see. And so I just started DMing every single makeup artist I could find, offering to assist them, offering to work for free, and just like really trying to find ways to get extra knowledge, because I knew that makeup school obviously was great, but I wanted to take my education another step and learn everything and like every part of the business. So I ended up getting really lucky, and like 2 days after I graduated, I got a job assisting a celebrity makeup artist. And then it was like I worked with her for a really long time. And then once you're kind of in with one celebrity makeup artist, it's easy to get your foot in the door with others. So it was like I started assisting one, had her on my resume, and then assisted so many other celebrity makeup artists as well, just so that I feel like in the makeup world, there's 2 different sides of it. And so there's the makeup artists that do like the prestigious, like the actresses, like Jennifer Lawrence, Emma Stone, people like that. And then there's the makeup artists who do like the Kardashians and singers and more like pop culture people. Mm-hmm. And so typically you would pick or choose one. But I didn't want to just pick or choose one. I wanted to learn all different types of makeup and do everyone in the industry. So I really started working around that way and just learning as much as I could. And then kind of just started doing my own clients at a certain point. But I assisted for like 3.5 years. So it took me a really long time to kind of start getting my own people.
You said you worked for free.
Yeah.
Which is something I want to talk about because it's now like a more touchy subject and a lot of people just don't want to.
Totally.
What is your take on it? Was it worth it to you?
I think that that's definitely one thing that's gotten me so far in this industry. You really have to humble yourself and just say yes to everything, because that's the only way you're going to learn. And honestly, most of my celebrities, even today, I'll DM them and be like, hey girl, like first glam on me if you want to mess around with makeup one day. And that's how you get your foot in the door. And then once you do it once for free, obviously I don't suggest working for free your entire life, but that's kind of your way of pitching yourself to them and getting your foot in the door.
I think the first glam for free thing is really smart because you're setting boundaries up front.
Totally.
Because was it really uncomfortable when you would start doing people in like in exchange for post almost, and then like obviously you need to charge.
Totally.
How did you navigate those conversations? Because that can be a little bit awkward.
Yeah, it's hard, and that's why I feel like in the DMs now I'm very upfront. Like first glam's on me, and then we'll discuss rates after. See if you like it, do it as a trial type of thing. But I feel like in the beginning, I didn't understand that you had to set those boundaries. And so I would just do everyone for free again and again and again and again. And it definitely helped. But at a certain point, you're only gaining so much from it. Yep. And like sometimes you'll gain a lot of followers working with someone for the first time. And then that's it. It's like whoever wanted to follow you follows you. And like you'll keep working with them and not really gain anything or, whatever. But other people, it's like I would keep gaining from. So I kind of do it as a trial and error situation, too, in the beginning. And some people I would just do once. Some people I would continue to work with. And some people I still do for free because it's benefiting me in some way.
Mm-hmm. Who was the first influencer you did makeup on?
The first influencer, first celebrity was Jessica Alba.
How did that happen?
That happened there was an app called the Glam app at the time. Yep. It's not a thing anymore, but it was so genius. And that's how I got a lot of celebrities in the beginning. I started doing Jessica Alba, Paris Hilton, Lisa Rinna, a lot of people through that app. And it was kind of like a management almost. And so it's like you would just book through the app, and it was almost like Postmates for makeup and hair. I always describe it as, for people who don't know. It's like you would book, you want hair, makeup, nails, whatever it is, and you just show up, get your makeup done. And I never knew who I was showing up to at the time. You would just know a first name.
Oh.
And so it's like I would get there and then be like, oh,
yeah,
hey girl, like what's up? But that was a really great way in the beginning for me just to get anyone.
What were some mistakes you feel you made when you were working underneath another artist?
I feel like I, at a certain point, was trying to balance still assisting and trying to do my own job. And, obviously at a certain point you have to let go of things and move on to the next step. And I feel like for a long time I was trying to balance both because I wasn't ready to stop assisting, but I also wasn't making enough money on my own to not assist either. And so I feel like trying to prioritize the people that I was working for and make their lives easier, and also trying to help my own career, was really hard for me. And it's almost like once you get to that point, you have to pick or choose. You can't teeter-totter and waste someone else's time and like run yourself dry also.
So if someone is in between and let's say they want to make like their side hustle, their main thing, so it doesn't have to be makeup, it can be anything,
totally.
But they're maybe not making enough, but if they gave up the first thing, they would have more time. What would your advice to them be?
I think for me at the time, looking back, I wish I would have assisted longer, probably. Okay. I feel like, obviously certain opportunities come that you just can't say no to for yourself, but I feel like at the end of the day, the people that I assisted for saw how much I was putting into them and really prioritize them. And now they're the ones helping me out and referring me to the clients that they can't take anymore, don't have time for, if they're double booked, things like that.
With building clientele, has it been like Instagram is like the number one thing for you?
Instagram and word of mouth. But I feel like social media by far has been like the biggest helpful thing for me.
So let's say you are reaching out to someone. You DM them and you say, hey, first glam on me.
Yeah.
Okay. And then as far as like taking photos and stuff, okay, like let's say they're having a bad day. Like how do you, okay, here's the thing about reading the room.
Yeah.
I feel like you either have that or you just don't.
Definitely.
So I don't know if that's teachable, but if you have any ways that is any practical tips to give to someone for some sort of social awareness, because if you're in rooms with celebrities or honestly just rooms in general, I think that is one of the most important skills to have.
I agree fully.
So if you have any practical tips for that, what would it be?
I mean, I think one of the biggest things is like feeling out someone's energy. You know, if someone's sitting on their phone and not wanting to talk to me the entire glam, I'm obviously not going to ask for a photo. But if we're like hanging out the whole time and gossiping and talking about boys and whatever, and they're opening up to me, I know that's the perfect moment to like at the end be like, oh my God, hey, like, do you care if we grab a quick pic? And so it's just about reading the room. And also if they're in a rush and their manager's yelling at them like, okay, we gotta go, like that's the last thing they're gonna wanna do. And the manager's gonna be upset, you know? So it's kind of like you just have to figure out. And that's something that comes with time, I think, too. I think in the beginning, I definitely made mistakes when it came to that and was trying to get my photo or get my video or whatever. And now I've learned I'm there to do a job at the end of the day, and it's not about me. It's not about getting a clip with them in my vlog. It's not about any of that. If that comes with the job and that's a perk, that's great. But I'm just there to make their life easier and make them look their best. And so you kind of just have to learn over time, I think.
I just think that is the most important skill.
I agree.
That you can have.
I know. And it definitely is one of those things you either have or you don't.
Yes. It's tough sometimes.
Yeah.
I was talking to someone about that this week, and we were just talking about like just kind of like things that people naturally have and what are some of the most like valuable skills that end up being like the most like monetarily valuable skills. And I really think it's I think it's reading a room. I think it's working a room. And then also like a trust, like level of like trustworthiness.
100%.
Have you had any issues with clients? Like, I think I was also having another conversation recently where I think sometimes when people want to go separate ways, they're maybe afraid of, like if you, let's say you don't want to take a client.
Totally.
And they're afraid of like talking poorly and things like, just like the cattiness and the gossip that can happen, especially when, you know, makeup is such a word of mouth kind of job, especially in this city. How have you been able to just kind of stand your ground and not focus on like what people have to say as much?
I feel like that just kind of comes with time too, honestly. I feel like in the beginning I was really scared of upsetting people and saying no to jobs because I thought that they would find another makeup artist or this and that. And now I've gotten to the point where I'm like, you know what, the people who want to work with me are going to continue to work with me, and the people who don't aren't going to work with me, or I'm going to have to learn to put my foot down, which honestly, I've been really lucky in the sense that all of my clients are really amazing, and I've never really had any nightmare stories like I feel like some people have in Hollywood, which I'm really grateful for. But I feel like there just comes a point in career and honestly confidence where you're like, okay, like whether it's rates or time or whatever it is, you just have to really stand your ground in the beginning, I think, first, because however you go into that job is how they're going to continue to work with you for the rest of the time. Whatever rates you set in the beginning or whatever time management you set in the beginning, that's what they're going to work off of, and just expect it to be like that from then on.
Do you have negotiating skills for if you give a rate and then someone comes back? I mean, not like tips for it, because I think it's hard, especially, you know, early on when you're doing it yourself. It can be really awkward, even in social media before like management, like earlier days too when you're doing it yourself. How did you navigate those conversations?
Honestly, that's one of the hardest things, and I'm still learning a little bit, but I feel like I always go into things now whenever people ask me my rate, I don't say, this is my rate, does this work for you? Because I feel like that opens the door for them to be like, actually, no, will you do it for lower? So I feel like you just have to go in it very confidently, be like, okay, yes, this is my rate. And if they come back and they're like, that's over our budget, would you do it for this? And it's like half the price, you have to say no. because that's just going to ruin your rates for the rest of that period, I think. And I feel like one thing that's tricky too is you have to look at the people around you at your level and what they're charging, because I feel like you kind of have to base it off of that. You know, obviously I would never charge the same as Ash K. Home because she's like at the top of the scale, but I wouldn't charge the same as someone who's doing, you know, bridal and just starting out. So it's like you kind of just have to look at the people around you and stand your ground whenever it comes to that, because people know what it's worth.
Yes. And another thing with lowering your rates for someone, people talk. So in, you know, like advertising with social media, a lot of companies are owned by the same like 4 companies, right? So if you lower it for one brand, those are the same people, and that's similar with makeup. It's like, oh, well, people talk, and then they find out you're charging less, and then that kind of almost like devalues your brand.
Totally.
When it shouldn't have been that way in the first place, and you're just in an awkward position.
Yeah. Rates is so hard, though. It's one of those things. I feel like that's probably one of the hardest things in the industry is just the negotiation part and management and all of the behind the scenes stuff that's not fun. That's the hardest.
Yeah, that is tough. And I think, too, unfortunately, it's harder as girls to do that. Yeah. Because guys will just say it and they'll stick with it and it's fine. But when a girl does that, they're like, oh my God, she's so full of herself. Yeah. And that in itself is so annoying. Right. And that's another reason we should like stick around more.
I know. Exactly. I feel like a lot of my friends and I help each other out when it comes to that too. And it's not even out of like a cattiness or anything, but we'll be like, hey, like, what are you charging for a do and go these days or a full day and things like that. And so it's like we all talk and help each other out, which I think is really great. Like find people in your industry, whatever it is, and figure out what they're charging and base yours off of that too.
We did that too earlier in like just brand deals. We would all talk. Totally. And that was really helpful because chances are you're probably like undercharging. Yeah. You don't realize what something is worth. Right. And also, I mean, I just think it's really important to have like a team of people in your industry anyways that kind of have your back. Definitely. One, I mean, just like emotionally, but also for like practical things like that.
Yeah, 100%.
I want to talk to you about how you define success because I feel like it's different for everyone. Yeah. And I know that's a very loaded question, but what's the first thing that comes to mind?
I feel like for me, success is doing something that you love every single day, and it's not necessarily work for you. Like for me, makeup is my passion at the end of the day, and it never feels like work for me. It's something that I get to wake up and do, and honestly, no matter what I was getting paid, if I was struggling with my bills, I would still want to do makeup. And I feel like that's when you've hit success. It's not a certain number or a certain job that you're checking off the bucket list. It's just doing something that you love every single day, I feel like.
And then I think there's like resilience in that because, you know, almost not making rent or struggling financially, but just believing in yourself. Totally. At that point when it was obviously you've had, I feel like in the past, even just year alone have grown so much and you've been doing well for a long time. But like, I feel like this past year was like your year.
Totally.
Before that, like how did you just commit to it and stay? And also like how did you continue to love it? Because I feel like sometimes when people make it a career, it can kind of take their love away from it. Like how did you keep that at the forefront?
I feel like for me, it's just, I don't know. Like I feel like I've never had to almost convince myself to love it. It's just a natural thing. And I hear of other people in the industry struggling sometimes and, you know, getting over it at a certain point. And I feel like for me, ever since I was little, I've been obsessed with Hollywood and pop culture and celebrities. And so to me, it's just like I'm still living in a dream and I still get excited about the stuff. And I don't see that leaving at all. And I hope it never does. But I feel like also I try and change things up. You know, I try and do the social media route as well and YouTube and things like that so that way I'm like dipping my toes into everything and I'm not just doing one thing every single day and burning myself out on that one thing.
What do you think about the social media world?
Oh, I love it. I have so much fun with it. I know that's like a very tricky thing also. Some people either love it or hate it, but I love it so much. And I feel like it's cool for me because at least right now, I don't think there's any other celebrity makeup artist doing what I'm doing necessarily. So I feel like I'm kind of pioneering that in a way right now. And I think it's really cool and exciting. And I feel like, I don't know, it's just a cool extra aspect of my job.
What is your favorite platform?
I feel like right now it's YouTube, honestly, because that's something that I'm just starting to get into and starting to like take off a little bit. I did a video with Tana recently, and that's what really helped my channel to grow. But I feel like I can show so much more behind the scenes on there and vlog with clients and show what a real work day looks like and my relationships with my clients and share advice, because I feel like in this industry in particular, at least when I was starting out, it might be a little different now, but there was no information out there on how to be a celebrity makeup artist. I was trying to do research, and it was one of those very, very hidden things. Like, no one wanted to share their journey or tips or anything like that, and so I really want to change the stigma with that. And I feel like the Kardashians help with that as well a lot, because up until 2016, no celebrity shared who was doing their glam or anything like that. It was such a secretive thing, and it was almost like this Hollywood box where it's just like you popped out and you're like, perfect hair, makeup, everything's done, and it was like such a secret. Whereas now we're kind of like breaking down that fourth wall, and I think that that's something I'm trying to do on YouTube as well.
I love that. I'm gonna butcher the cliche because I do this all the time. I'm like, I remember this quote, but I think the people who share more and are not, I mean, gatekeeping in, you know, right? Modern day terms. I think that is one, the best quality in a person. And it's also like there's enough success to go around.
Right.
But the more you share, I truly believe that benefits not just those people, but everyone, like yourself included. I think that is such an important thing to do.
Yeah.
Especially because, like you said, up until before that, I don't even think growing up I realized that people were getting their makeup done every day.
Exactly. And even when I was in high school and looking for jobs, I had no clue celebrities even got their makeup done until my mom told me in high school. And I feel like now that's definitely different. I think with TikTok and stuff, the curtain's kind of been pulled back already. But I still feel like there's so much that is unseen that I kind of want to...
Yes. I think it even helps with like beauty standards.
Yeah.
Because like I'm not going to look like I have an Alexis Oakley beat every single day, or like even just the next person, like a celebrity that people are looking up to online. Yeah. And now that people know, it's like, oh, those are people who are literally professional makeup artists.
Yeah.
That I think is cool.
Yeah.
I just like I think the Kardashians have done I mean, they've changed culture completely.
Literally.
But that has been a huge thing. They've really removed almost like, I don't want to say barriers, but like remove the curtain behind the scenes of things.
They've made it cool to credit their glam.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't cool before, and now it's just etiquette to credit
it's
your
weird
glam.
if you don't.
Yeah, it's weird if you don't.
It's like gatekeeping.
Literally.
We don't like that.
It is. We don't like that.
Speaking of the Kardashian family, you recently did Kris Jenner.
Yes. Icon.
How did that happen? Like, that is absolutely iconic.
That actually happened through word of mouth. One of my friends heard through someone that she needed a makeup artist, and it was like a very instant thing. And she was like, oh my God, use my friend. And they were just like, okay, send it to Kris. And instantly Kris was like, okay, book her. And then it was like within 20 minutes, they had me on the books for like 3 days later.
Wow.
It was the craziest thing, but that just goes to show too, like I said on TK's podcast, and this isn't a quote from me, but it's like, it's not about who you know, it's about who's going to mention your name in a room full of opportunities and just helping others. And I think that that's something that needs to be more mainstream also, because it's like that person could have heard that Kris was looking for a makeup artist and just been like, oh, like waited for someone else to speak up.
That quote is actually exactly what I thought of when you said that. Yeah. And I just think that, I mean, that is so cool, obviously. I mean,
so
she
crazy.
has, talk about someone who's actually completely changed culture and is a business, like, genius.
Yeah.
But I think that's so important. Like, I really want to be someone who, well, I love connecting people in general. Like, even if it's in every way, like career-wise, I love that. Oh, you would like this person. You know, I've set some people up.
Right.
Some of them are in therapy, but one of them got married.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, so that's what I had to think about.
One for one.
Yeah. But I do think that is something that I, even this year, like really want to be better about.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You should help your friends, you know?
Yes.
I think in every way. And I feel like that's something cool with social media too, because it's like you and I, we can share so much information about this industry that no one else has.
I always want to be the person, like the first person people think to call for not necessarily advice in the way that like they think I have the answers, but maybe like help, like a connection or something, because they know I will like share everything.
I love connecting people.
Yeah, it's actually really fun. Like there's so something about it. I don't know.
Right?
You also recently posted that you took your first New Year's Eve off in what, 4 years? Did you say?
Since high school.
Okay,
like
so longer
6
than that.
years, yeah.
That is crazy.
I know.
And I think I was listening to your episode with TK and I loved what you said because TK and I were talking about this and really agree with it. Like, there is a time where you just put your head down and that you cancel everything and that is what you're doing and 100%. That is your focus. And then I do think as you get older, you have a little bit more of like the luxury, and not even older. Like I think, you know, there's different times or like seasons of your life that you can, you know, your priorities change. But now that you are, you know, took your first New Year's Eve off, which is a very big holiday.
Yes.
How are you feeling? And are you trying to kind of implement more like boundaries? Like what have you learned through your time of literally working 24/7 to now?
This year, I really want to make it a focus to kind of have more of a balance when it comes to work and personal life. I feel like for the last 6 years, I've been working so hard and saying yes to absolutely everything. And, you know, the last 4 months, I've had 2 days off that haven't been holidays. And I feel like it's just getting to a point where I'm like, you know what? I'm still in my 20s. I still want to have fun. I don't have to say yes to everything. My clients are still going to call me if I'm not available for that one thing that they need me for. And this year, I really want to make it a priority to work on my personal life. I was looking at my journals even from the last 6 years, like my New Year's resolutions and stuff. And every single year, all of them have been career focused. And this year's the first year I even made personal goals. And
me too.
Like, really?
Well, it was last year, but I had that realization.
Yeah. Like I want to go on girls trips this year. I want to make more time for my friends and family. And I really want to make that a priority this year. And obviously I would have never gotten to where I am today if I hadn't worked so hard for all those years. But I want to get to a point now where I can have a little fun too.
And I think there's a time to do that. And there will be other times to do that, obviously. But it also is important to note that it isn't really a sustainable thing for 45 years. Yeah. I don't know however long we work, but it's not necessarily a completely sustainable thing. And for me, I was like, okay, I built like the foundation of my dream career, but I literally haven't built a life. Like I moved and I was like, what am I doing? First off, at the time I was like, I have so many friends in the city that I don't see, that I'm not trying to see. Any time that I'm not working, I'm reading or like working. I'm not investing in myself. I literally made a social vision board this year. And I'm like, guys, we're going on girls trips. We're having dinner parties. Like I have all this stuff. But to me, like one thing I've learned is I love my career and I'm incredibly like naturally driven.
Totally. I
would work 24/7 if no one stopped me. And that ended up, obviously it has its pros, but it ended up having some cons for me. And it was a little bit unhealthy. And so kind of reeling back when it's so scary, especially when you're more of like an entrepreneur. It's like you're, you know, making your own lane, like you're technically your own boss. It feels like, oh my God, well, if I'm not working, then it's not going to work out. And you catastrophize in thinking, or at least I did. And I've noticed that, you know, again, I do think those times were really necessary. And I'm sure I'm starting a brand. Like there will be things like that. But I have noticed that my work has even gotten better as I've invested outside of my job, because I am just a happier, more whole human being.
And I think that's something you learn with age too. And you just get to a point in your career where it's like you're financially stable enough to say no to certain things and take little breaks, where I feel like I definitely couldn't do that a few years ago. So I think it's just one of those things that comes with time too. Because I think in the beginning, you work hard, you stick your head down, like you say no to the dinners sometimes and you focus on your career, but then at a certain point, you reel it back a little bit.
Like you don't want to be at the top and have absolutely no one next to you. That I think about all the time. And it's just, I don't know, I think there's a time and a place for everything.
100%.
But I do think it's important to also know what time you're in. Like last year, I was more social than I had been in the past 5 years probably combined. And that was what I needed and that was good for me, but I recognized that at the time. You know?
I think it's such an LA thing too, to work so hard and not make time for anyone. It's almost cool to be so busy that you don't have time for people. It's
bragging rights, which it's actually not, like,
it's not that cool. Like you're the one that's gonna get burnt out over time. And that's how I felt too. Like last year around like May, I think I hit a point where I just hit a breaking point and literally was just so depressed, had to go home for like 2 weeks and just like get myself straight, and I don't want to hit that again. And I think that when you push yourself so hard, you get to a point sometimes where your body, your mind, like physically you just can't handle it anymore.
What did you do when you were home for 2 weeks to kind of recharge?
My parents live in the middle of nowhere, so it was almost so relaxing just to go sit outside, look at the lake, the mountains, and just like not have to think, not have to answer my phone, post on social media, anything. And I think I've learned through that to take mini breaks throughout my career and once a month take, a weekend off or whatever it is, so that you're almost preparing yourself mentally so that you are being proactive and not having to hit that true breaking point.
You're just getting ahead of the problem.
Yeah.
That's something I started doing as well. It's hard too when you work for yourself, or you can just literally book clients. And even if you're not booking clients, which you have clients 24/7, you could be making a TikTok, you could be filming so when you don't have someone to kind of tell you when you're clocking in and clocking out, it can get a little bit dangerous. For me, I found too, even more than my trips and having this time off, or I'm gonna I will look at my calendar too, and I have everything color coded, and I know when it's a really heavy travel. Oh my god, I live for it. Do you color coordinate?
Yes,
oh my god, live for it. I have found though that I will see the weeks that are gonna be really crazy, and I plan around that to where I'm not burning out, whereas before I would have just ignored myself and just pushed through.
Totally.
And over time I'm I can't get to that place again. So I think that's a really important thing, and that I love that you talk about that, because especially in this city, it's praised to that's all you do. And also in LA, more than any other city, even way more than New York, New York is not really like this. You are really defined by what you do in your job. And it's really easy to kind of mix the two. And then again, I found you don't create a life outside of it. My friend Peyton just moved to Dallas.
Yes, oh my God, I love her.
And we were talking about that, and she's like, that's the thing about Dallas that I was saying for me, and she's only been there for a week, but she's like, I just feel like that's going to be a really healthy thing for me, is having that divide. But again, it's there is, there's a time and a place.
Yeah, there's a season for everything, and I feel like I'll totally get to that point in my career too, where I want to live in Dallas or Austin or Nashville, somewhere like that, because eventually I do want a family, and I'm from Missouri, so it's I love that family mindset and just living in the middle of nowhere and going to Sonic and things like that.
Oh my god, I love Sonic.
Literally.
Oh my god.
But I feel for now, it's I know that a husband, things like that will come later. Work is my main focus right now. Work and myself.
Yeah, I love that. Myself. Yes, I love that. I want to talk too about not only just manifesting your dream career, but also your dream life. And you really are pioneering a new way to be a makeup artist in general. Like I said, personality, you're using socials in a different way. And yes, other makeup artists, obviously they use socials, but you do it in a different way.
Totally.
And I think that is just a really cool lesson. Another TK has created a new job that didn't exist.
Exactly.
And I always say social media and just the digital age, everything changes so often.
Right.
We are in the best time. If you want to create and invent a job that doesn't exist, now is the time. So what are your kind of, goal setting and almost manifesting tips that you have found to be the most helpful for you?
I think just speaking things into existence has been the biggest thing that's been helpful to me, because the more you talk about something, the more people hear it, and the more, like I said with Kris, for example, someone knew I wanted to work with her and set it up. People can mention your name to people who are looking for a makeup artist or whatever it is. So I think speaking things into existence has power. And I also think that just journaling and writing things down and taking the time to actually think about what you want for yourself. Because I remember in the beginning of my career, people would be like, oh, what do you want to do this year? What are your goals? And I wouldn't really have specific goals. I would just be like, oh, I want to do celebrities. And so I feel being really specific with it and thinking about it and, doing research helps so much.
When you say speaking things into existence, how do you do that? Do you mean literally telling people? Are you talking to yourself in the mirror? Are you writing that down? What exactly are you doing?
I feel I'm just talking to people about it. I feel one of my favorite things to do is just have deep talks with my friends late at night, playing We're Not Really Strangers, things like that. And so I feel that's a perfect way of just talking about your goals, what you want for yourself, and being really transparent with people. And honestly, in LA, everyone can help someone in some way. Everyone knows someone, and it's you're always one person away from that person who can connect you to someone. So you just never know. The more you talk about, right now, I really want to work with Dua Lipa and Halsey. So I'm constantly talking about it and putting it on my dream board and posting it on my story, because I know one one day someone's gonna know Dua or whoever, and they're gonna be like, oh my God, this makeup artist actually really wants to work with you. You guys should link up.
Yeah, that's genius. I also loved what you said about, like, you have to really actually give yourself time to think about things.
Yeah.
And Michael and Lauren Bostic talk about that all the time, how you have to have time to think.
Right.
And I really don't think I actually sat down and had a moment of like clarity thinking for myself. I was on such auto drive for probably like 2 years.
Right.
And then really it was during the pandemic when I was like, okay, I'm actually going to change everything about my life because now that I've slowed down and had time to think and be with myself, I don't actually like where I'm heading, and I changed a lot of things. So I think that having that time is incredibly important,
because you don't realize sometimes what you're doing with your life, and if you even enjoy it, I feel like, until you really take that time. When it's uncomfortable at times to sit with yourself in silence and just journal and try and like process stuff, but I feel like that's one of the most beneficial things in work and personal life.
No, I agree. And also it is scary to be by yourself and thinking, and I think I was also avoiding that for 2 years. It ended up being a good thing. So if you're in that position, sit down and do it. But for me, even I am like goal setting, vision board. Like I love that stuff. But I'm very like practical with it. That's why I'm asking like exactly what are you doing? I just think it's like incredibly valuable. And also you need to have some sort of vision for your life, because then you don't know where you're going.
I know. And I feel like a lot of people don't take the time to do that, and so they don't know where they're going. I feel like when I talk to a lot of my friends, especially people that don't live in LA necessarily, no one really has something specific that they're working towards. They're just trying to have a living. And so it's like you really have to think now, what do I actually enjoy? What are my passions? What do I like doing? Because that's what's going to make you enjoy your job over time and actually want to work and do something that you love every single day, and not just do something to make money.
Absolutely. You have to be intentional with how you want to live your life, or else you're not going to have this like dream life. Like I can confidently say I am living like my actual dream life.
Totally.
But it's because I said I didn't think for 2 years, but before that, like I still had things that I wanted, actual goals.
Right.
None of this stuff didn't happen by accident. A lot of it, yes, there's always a random chance and luck, but you have to be prepared for that to actually happen. So it exists, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
But I do think it's really important, if you want this dream career or dream life, like you have to be proactive. Totally. And I agree, people outside of LA, that's one of the best things about LA is you are surrounded by not everyone, but you were surrounded by a lot of people. Chances are people that are mutual friends who are very proactive and know what they want, and they're very intentional. And if you want to live a life, I think, to that standard for yourself, it's incredibly important to be that way.
Yeah. And it's important. I feel like thinking of goals can be really overwhelming sometimes. So it's like you start small. You start with the small wins, and that's going to lead to the big wins. Obviously, you're not overnight going to become a success or whatever you're trying to work towards. So it's like you have to make really small goals, and that's slowly just going to bring you up to where you want to be.
No, I completely agree. Last question I have for you. Yes. What, or either share your favorite experience as a makeup artist or your favorite client experience, and honestly, do both. I just want to know.
I feel like my favorite experience is honestly just the traveling opportunities that my job has given me. I feel like I've went to so many places and done so many things I never would have thought that I'd been able to do. Going on tour, I think, was one of the coolest, most fun times in my life. And it was honestly like my college experience, I always say, because it's like you're just waking up in a new city every single day, going and exploring during the day, doing a show.
She toured with Avril Lavigne, by the way, guys.
Yeah. Yes. And that had just so many fun things. And we went to Napa together for a weekend and got to hang there. It just comes with so many cool things. I feel like this job does, traveling opportunities and stuff like that. And then what was the other question that you asked?
Favorite client.
Favorite client? Oh my God, that's so hard. But I always feel like I have to say Tana, because at the end of the day, I really don't think that I would be where I am today if it weren't for Tana. I feel like she's been the biggest Alexis Oakley ride or die of all time, and she's always connecting me with people and trying to help me in any way that she can, whether it's socially or career-wise as well. And I'm so grateful for her for that. And so I feel like she's day one.
There is nothing I respect in someone more than that.
Yeah.
And I will say she is one of the nicest people you'll ever meet.
Literally.
She's just so nice. Like, I love that.
I know. She's the best. She's connected me with so many people and just helped me so much. And she's always down, like, if I ever want to collaborate on something, like, she's always down to be in a YouTube video of mine or just give me a face to play with on. Like, she's just always down to help.
I love that. That's so sweet.
I know. It's really cute.
I love the relationship you guys have. Yeah. I think it's really cool.
It's the best.
Okay, where can they find you and where can they book you too?
They can find me on Instagram, Alexis Oakley, YouTube, TikTok, all of the things. It's just Alexis Oakley. And then if people want to book me, they can email my manager, Wendy@AlexisOakley.com. It's actually my momager, but
oh my God, no way.
I love a momager.
Wait, I love that. That comes so full circle.
Yeah, isn't that
That's
crazy?
so sweet. Yeah,
I know, it's really sweet.
I love that.
Yeah, she's the best.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. Everyone, go follow her. The makeup is like unbelievable. It really is. Thank you. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know by giving it a nice thumbs up and subscribe for more.